Welcome to the Daily Bellringer. Today we're going to be taking a look at Article 2 of the Constitution, Sections 1 and 2. All right, so Article 2 basically defines the executive branch of the government, which is, the president and his advisors. So we're going to be getting into, sections 1 and 2 here of the presidency. So let's get right into it. So Article 2, Section 1 establishes the office of the president. So again, the executive branch is basically encompassed. The president is the executive branch. Of course, the president, and then he has a cabinet of advisors that is the executive branch. All right. So within Section 1, they establish a few different things. For one, the president only has 4-year terms. All right, 4-year terms in office. All right, and actually, due to a amendment to the Constitution, the president can only serve for 2 terms. Actually, George Washington served for 2 terms, and so every president after him basically followed that precedent or that rule that George Washington kind of set up until we got to Franklin Delano Roosevelt. FDR, ran time and time again and was president for 15 years before he died. All right. And so after that, they basically added an amendment to the Constitution saying that a president can only serve for 2 terms. All right. The president actually is not technically elected by the people, I guess you would say. Yes, the people vote for him, but it's actually the Electoral College, whereby each state gets 1 vote for each member of Congress. And I'm going to show you a map here in a moment that kind of gets more into that. So Electoral College is actually how the president is elected. The minimum age to be the president of the United States, you got to be 35 years old. At this time, our youngest president ever was John F. Kennedy. He was 41 when he became president. And then also you have to be a natural-born citizen. You have to be born in the United States in order to become president of the United States. All right, but if we look here at the Electoral College, this is what I was talking about. And this is actually the election from 2016 that is showing right here. But you can see each state has a number on it. And so that number is actually the number of members of the House of Representatives and Senate combined. All right, so that is the electoral votes that each state gets. And so in order to win the election, a president has to get at least 270 of these electoral votes to win. Of course, all these numbers could change here, and this is the year 2020. There's going to be a census where they're going to do counting of the population. And once we do that, it could change the number of members of the House of Representatives that each state gets. So these numbers could change, all right? So, winning a big state like California, you get 55 electoral votes. But winning states like, Wyoming and North Dakota, you only get 3 votes for those because they have 2 members of the Senate, 1 member of the House because their population is so small. So again, that's how a president wins the election, is by winning the Electoral College and winning, these electoral votes. All right, so that's Section 1. And so then Section 2, Article 2, Section 2 defines the powers of the president. All right, so the president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. Commander-in-chief basically just means he is the overall commander of our army. All right, now, the president is technically a civilian. He's actually not part of the army. And so this is something that the Founding Fathers specifically set up so that we would not necessarily have just some military commander that could come in and just sweep into power and become president and be the commander, lead military as well as the nation. Also, the president can appoint a cabinet. A cabinet is basically where you have people like, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of Education, Secretary of Agriculture, all of these different people that are advisors to the president. All right. Also, the president can appoint Supreme Court justices with approval from the Senate. All right. So he appoints somebody, then the Senate takes a look at them, and the Senate says, yes, you can, appoint this person to the Supreme Court. Remember that that's an extremely huge a big power of the president, because Supreme Court justices serve for life. So long after presidents are out of office, you have Supreme Court justices that president has put onto the Supreme Court. Also, the president can pardon criminals of crime. Of course, one of the big powers that was talked about in Section 1 or in Article 1 is the power to veto bills. So again, once a bill passes Congress, goes to the president can reject that bill. All right, so there's Article 2, Section 1 and 2.